All right, I think we'll get started. Hi, everyone. How are you all doing? Nice to see you all. It's almost spring. We're almost there. So just taking attendance, we have Reverend Elizabeth, Sherry Oken, Yana Herzog, Nicole Jacob, Jeremy Little, Benny Wheat, Jennifer Betcher, Teresa Aravena Gonzalez, Amy Rando, and Daniela Nedbalik. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize.
That's a good try, Nedbalik. Yeah.
Nedbalik. Okay. All right. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. Daniela, are you here just observing, or is there anything that you wanted to say? This is the public participation part, so you are welcome to contribute.
I'm just here to observe. I am participating locally here. Sorry, I thought my camera was already. So I participate in my local government of my hometown in this case. And I just thought it was really silly for me to do that and then not be involved in my new hometown. I'm a new homeowner in Wakefield. And I also applied for open positions just because I wanted to get involved. So that's why I'm here. I don't have like the 3-minute spiel or just tuning in.
All right, great. Well, we're happy to have you. Thanks for being here. All right. So moving on to the approval of minutes.
Maria.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Another public participant who just joined. I just want to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Plus Colleen is here now.
Yes. Yep. Nice to see you, Colleen. Mike Karagi, is there, for the public participation, did you want to say anything, or are you here to observe?
I am a reporter with Patch, and I'm just sitting in and checking you guys out.
All right. Fantastic. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, for the approval of minutes from the February 16th, 2021 general meeting, did everyone should have received that I sent a couple days ago. Did anyone have any edits that they wanted to make? All right, seeing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, and second. Thank you. All right, so roll call. Elizabeth?
Yes.
All right, Sherry?
Yes.
All right, Nicole?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Benny?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
And Amy?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so those are approved. And for the, we had one set of subcommittee minutes for the communication subcommittee. Are there any, for those of you on the subcommittee, does anyone have any edits that they would like to make? All right, and Kim is not here at this point, so I will just ask for a motion to approve the subcommittee minutes.
Did we want to offer up were there any questions from anyone else who didn't attend before we approve them? Or does that happen before we approve them? Or I know we talked about having other people have a chance to talk about them.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions or anything, I mean, we also are going to talk about a lot of the stuff that was in.
That's true.
Yeah,
we're on the agenda. You're right. All right. I move to approve the minutes. Thank you.
And for a second.
A second.
Okay. And so Sherry, do you approve the minutes?
Yes, I wrote them.
Okay. And Jen?
Yes.
Okay. And as the only members here of the subcommittee, 2 out of 3, we have a quorum, so those are approved. And now for the International Women's Day Subcommittee. So we had meetings on February 17th, February 24th, March 3rd, and March 10th. Does anyone have any edits to make to those? Nope. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Okay. So, all right, taking a vote on those. Nicole?
Yes.
All right, Teresa?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And Kim is not here, so, but 3 out of 4, that passes. All right, so we got the housekeeping stuff out of the way. Okay, for the subcommittee updates, Jen or Sherry, do you want to give us an update and kind of lead us up to the questions?
Oh, you're on mute.
You're muted.
Okay, yes, I realize. I'm sorry. Let me get my notes up. When we met the last time, we wanted some guidance from the larger WHRC about this committee, whether it's ongoing or a task force with just specific projects, the ones we've been working on, and then we'll disband. So that's one of the things that we're hoping you can help guide us. And if we are an ongoing committee, we'd like some guidance on what you would like our overall charge and specific responsibilities to be. And then once we get through these 2 more strategic questions, we've asked for some input on the draft material that we've presented for this particular meeting. But most important, we'd like to know what our status is. And we're asking that people weigh in on whether this should be, as I said, a committee that's ongoing or a short-term task force. And if we're ongoing, what are we? And one of the most important reasons we're asking this is because there's only 3 of us. And Jen is finishing her term and Kim is finishing her term, which leaves only me. So if it's ongoing, I'm going to need to enlist a couple of more committee members in order to do whatever work that is you'd like us to do on your behalf.
Thank you, Sherry. So yeah, I mean, obviously anyone that has thoughts on this, speak up. My initial reaction, aside from the fact that I'm so sad to see Jen and Kim go, and Kim will hopefully be back. There was a confusion about the deadline, so yes, she will hopefully be back next time there's another round of open positions. But my initial reaction is I certainly want someone to, I want a kind of a communications person, particularly with respect to the social media side of it. And if they are comfortable taking on kind of all of the communications, whether that's working with Jen McDonald and just figuring out the best way to publicize events. And I see that you have kind of a how to, the lead up to events and posting about all of that. But I would like to, I think it would be great and important for this organization, because we do so much outreach in the community, to have someone who is doing ongoing communications, whether it's publicizing events, whether it's responding to questions that we get over Facebook Messenger, whether it's figuring out the best way to post things. So that's been something, and whoever the next chair is, if that's something that they're very comfortable doing, then wonderful. It's not something that I was comfortable doing. I mean, I know basic Facebook, but beyond that, I don't, I don't really have any understanding. So I would want, if someone was in a similar situation in terms of their Facebook expertise as I am, I would want the chair to be able to have a communications person that they could rely on. So that's my initial thought, and I'm happy to hear other people's thoughts on that.
I think, I mean, we talked about this in our subcommittee meeting, but one of the things that I think that we talked about was that, we have subcommittees who are focused on events, and those event subcommittee teams are generally responsible for their, their own communications or like doing some of those things. And, if there's like one person or 2 people or 3 people who do the comms in general, that could cause confusion of like having like middle little people. So it could be enough that we have somebody from the comms, if this is an ongoing subcommittee, on each of those sort of event planning things, or like a liaison to that event or something that can be their contact person. Or it's just that they sort of consult with that subcommittee team to say, here's my advice to you, or when you have something, let me know, and then I can post it for you, type of thing. So I don't think it's like one person has to control the reins for everything. I think, but I do agree, and I don't think that everything has to necessarily go through them. I think other people can be empowered to write their own, press releases, or draft their own flyers, or whatever that the case may be. I think it's more of to me, I see it more as a consultative role.
Mm-hmm. And I feel the same way. And that's one of the reasons why we were putting together, Kim was putting together that advice, that checklist of what one would do. So at least there'd be some consistency across different events. And so people will say, well, what do I do now? But if they go to the checklist, they say, okay, I start by doing this, and then I can do this. I can skip this step this time, but I should do this, and go down the line. And then have the communications committee or person assist them when they hit a point where they don't know quite what to do, or they need assistance in particular. I know I'm very comfortable with writing. I am not by any means a social media person. I do, I'm not doing Instagram. I'm not doing anything. I hardly look at Facebook. So Kim is the person who's more of a social media person. So we really, actually, even if she's not an official commissioner, she is very willing to help out. So as a volunteer, if that would be an appropriate role. But again, what we're trying to do is make it so that the different events have some guidance on how to proceed. And then, as Jen said, have whoever it is on the communications committee, if they need them, to step in to be a liaison and to assist them if there's something they don't understand or something they just really can't do on their own. I think it's a big ask to have one person manage every bit of the social media. That's a very big ask. I mean, Marie, because you've been doing some of it. Jen has been doing some of it. And it can be overwhelming. Mm-hmm. It's a full-time job. People hire social media people to do this all the time. Yeah. So others, Jeremy, you're going to speak. Good.
Just listening, and I tend to agree that we definitely should have some form of subcommittee, whether it's a few people or, a very knowledgeable person, depending on the makeup of our commission from time to time, because I think you made great points, and I think Jennifer said it really well, that the subcommittees have people, or it comes up in the end of a subcommittee meeting, who's going to draft a thing for this, but to have us as a committee know that there's a few people that set our sort of our strategy, and that it's consistent across events to events. I think it will just look much better, be more effective in the long run as we, mature as a committee. And I believe that, the same media outlets, would be very comfortable with them after a few times. And I applaud you guys for putting together these, sort of an SOP or a checklist of how to go about it, because it's going to be very helpful for new commissioners and just the group in general. But to have that point person that we know we can at least reach out to as a subcommittee for other events that has done it, or and when we bring new people on board next month, whoever they may be, they'll have the comfort to know that, okay, I'm not afraid to volunteer to help a subcommittee with the publicity portion of it. I have great ideas, but I don't know how to get it out there, because they'll know they have this, and you can incorporate, or we can incorporate that into our training packet too, as a portion. So I think it fits really well in the progress we've made since the fall, and talking about the whole onboarding and having these documents in place. And who knows, maybe in a year from now, we'll say it doesn't make sense. But I think for now, it makes sense to keep a standing committee and add more help to you, Sherry, next month, whoever may be on here. I may not be on here. This is technically my last meeting as well. So we will see. But I definitely—
Actually, next month. Next month is your last meeting.
Yeah,
you're all here till the end of
but,
April.
But my vote would be to keep a subcommittee at least for the near future on here. So.
And I would like to continue. I'm more of a strategy person and a writing person than I am a social media monitor. So I'd be happy to be the person who creates the continuity to the next group of people, since I still have 2 years on my term. So I'll be around for a little bit. And I know that I can call upon Jen and Kim, because they have wonderful ideas. And it was very much a group effort to come up with what we came up with. And as Jeremy said, rather than constantly always reinventing the system, if we have these things in place, it makes it so much easier for people to hit the ground running. You don't waste time trying to figure out what to do because somebody already gave you a list and said, here's what you do when you need to promote a meeting.
And it also, if I can just interject, it will make it easy to tweak and make them better, right? Like you said, you don't have to waste time reinventing it. You can just spend your time, making improvements along the way. So I very much agree with it.
And it's not a do or die list. It's not, you have to do every single thing on it.
Right.
You use what is
Flexible.
appropriate. What we're trying to suggest is an order of doing things. And also, and this is very important because we need all your help on this, is creating a resource document of the people that you reach out to at different stages of the promotion. So we don't have all the answers, but you have just planned several programs the last few months. And before you forget, before you can't find your notes, we want to know who the resources were, the people that were your contacts, the people that helped you get the word out, who the valuable people are. So this is a living document.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that you need the support of a group. I know that when I was working, before I started helping with the International Women's Day, I reached out to Jen to kind of go over what she did last year and use some of those ideas and resources. So I think it's important to have, and I know I asked her a bunch of stuff throughout the process, so I was kind of bothering her, but I think for me, it was very helpful to have her and then Benny. I reached out to her too to ask for stuff, what they have done. So I think it is very helpful. And I think now, especially with COVID, I mean, I know social media is not everything, but I think a lot of people rely on it for the good or the bad. I mean, it's there.
But a nod to Mike, it's also important that we know who we should be in contact with in the press as well, in the more traditional press. Because like I said, I may not pay much attention to different kinds of social media, and I think a lot of other people are similar, but they may read things that they see in different formats. So old school works too.
Absolutely. I mean, I do love having write-ups after our events, or write-ups leading up to the event and also afterwards. So I agree that we should keep the written part in addition to the social media. Maureen, were you going to say something earlier? It looked like.
I was. Hi, everyone. I was just going to remind the HRC, because I think you need to hear this repeatedly, and I'm probably going to say it every meeting, is that you have voting members, but others are welcome to join. And so Jen, and if Jeremy, if it happens, and Kim, you are always welcomed. And Colleen and I don't get a vote, but we come to these meetings. And so I just encourage you not to just think that it's the 11 of you. And I think it's a goal for the next year to actually, if Daniela, I didn't hear you speak, but I heard that you are interested. If for some reason you don't get on, these meetings are open and you are welcome to come. They are published every month. And so I just think, as you think about that, don't think that it's only you guys who can do the work. And I think you know, let's think about doing some recruiting, because I know people want to support you. And I just think like, I don't want you to feel like, you know, you're losing some institutional memory with some members leaving, but they're always welcomed back. And we can find some people that just because you're not a voting member, you can still add a lot. So I think you guys need to hear that a little bit, because you do amazing work and so much, but we need community members to help you do it, because you guys are just doing so much great work.
And it just so happens that Jen and Maria are working on institutional memory, you know, having a real record.
Right. That is part of what we're doing, is trying to, one, put it to paper so that it's there for people to pick up and run with later. And so I'm trying to put together a history. And I think Maria's also started working on some archival stuff, but so there's the history side, but then there's also the like ongoing resources, right? So if we have these resources listed, we have in the calendar we can pull from, if we have the checklists and things like that, it just makes everyone's life easier going forward.
Okay, so I guess the answer to our question is that communications will be an ongoing subcommittee. And of course, we need more help. We need more people to work with us on this. And the overall charge is to set up systems that other people can use and procedures, and to serve as a liaison and advisor when needed. Is that correct? Did I get that? Okay.
I think you expressed it very well, Sherry.
Okay, so in that case, that part of the questions are over. The other thing you were asking was about some reaction on the draft material. I know that there was a little bit of a misunderstanding of why we were putting together that calendar of observances and commemorations and special days. And it was not to tell people what they should be celebrating. And it was not to tell the HRC what they should be commemorating. What it was just, it was for informational purposes, for reference. So it does not suggest any action. But what we have found is that we don't know it all, obviously. We're of one culture, one ethnic group, one religious group. So we need the cumulative knowledge of other people. And so I wrote that little statement, which I have it here because I printed everything out because it was easier than trying to go from screen to screen. It's a very brief statement. And I was asking for input on that statement. And if you don't have it in front of you, should I read it, Maria, or?
Yeah, if you want to read it, it's not very long.
Okay. Members of the WHRC have been compiling a calendar of observances, remembrances, and holidays that commemorate historical events, acknowledge human rights and causes, honor prominent individuals, and celebrate different cultures and ethnicities. The purpose of this calendar is to raise awareness, not to suggest a specific action, which is a personal decision. It will be shared with the public as a respectful source of information about the diversity of our community, nation, and world. We recognize that there are many cultures, ethnic, and religious groups of which we are not a part or knowledgeable. To expand the calendar beyond our knowledge, we ask the public for appropriate suggestions of additions to the calendar. Please email your suggestions and, if possible, a web link to more information to the WHRC.
Sherry, can I just point out that we are not all of one culture? A minute ago, you were like, well, we're all of one culture and one ethnicity, so we don't know it all. But I just want to point out that that's not the case.
No, I said we recognize, okay.
No, not in your statement. It was before you started reading the statement.
Right, exactly, yes. We're all of different cultures and backgrounds. But we don't represent the cumulative cultures of the world, of our community. And so we're asking for help. I know when I put together that initial calendar and I started looking at the list of things, I said, I don't know if I should include some of this. I don't know if it's respectful. I don't know if it should be on a public, I mean, it was on a website, but that doesn't mean it should be on ours. So that's why I was asking for more information, for public input.
I think Sherry meant when we were on the subcommittee, the three of us on the subcommittee were all of one culture and one ethnicity. So
Yes.
we felt like we needed more information. That helped.
Thank you. That helps.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is a statement that we thought perhaps we could include on our website or Facebook page, any place that we might invite the public. Or if, you know, I'm always willing to write short pieces for the item and announce that we now have such a calendar and we're looking for public input to drive people to look at our Facebook page or the web page or wherever it might be listed. So the question is, was the statement an appropriate ask? And where would we put this calendar and how will we get the word out? I mean, I assume our Facebook page.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. If this is this a calendar that would be internal, that we then, as things come up on the calendar, we post or write something about it, or is it a calendar that everyone sees from beginning of the year to end of the year? And if so, where's the best place? And it could be multiple places to put those.
Yeah, it's not the calendar of the WHRC.
Right.
Yeah, I think, I was going to say, I think when we talked about this before, we have to be careful. I don't like the idea of posting a date and linking it or putting something about it if we're not familiar with the full background and right. Like I think Elizabeth brought this up originally, right, Elizabeth? Not to put ourselves in people's shoes that we can't walk in. I like the way the statement's written about asking people to at least make us aware of events and just capture them. But I don't know if we need to really go beyond that on some of them. Like, I don't think we have to go overboard in trying to raise awareness on things that we, you know, might not be completely aware of or comfortable ourselves in terms of, you know what I mean? Like, I think we discussed this when maybe 2 or 3 meetings ago, maybe around, actually even around the Martin Luther King Coretta Scott event. So, but,
well, we did leave those things out. We have, what's on there is mostly generally known commemorative days. And some of them are national. They're already designated days by the government.
Yeah, and you know, my point being, I don't think it's harmful to put them on there in terms of listing the dates, because they are what they are, right? Like the date exists and the and the holiday or the event exists. My fear is trying to link up information to them or like try to put the importance on it if we don't really know all about it. Does that make sense?
Okay. The information, okay. The web links that I have were provided. I didn't write any of it.
And I'm not saying anything about the ones that are already there. I'm saying in the future, because Maria said, do we put it on the Facebook and then do we link something to each one of them? I think the fear becomes in trying to do too much of it. So that's just my take on Maria's question about what do we do with them going forward. So, you know, I don't have a problem capturing all of the, you know, suggestions from the community and things like that on a calendar, knowing that we make sure it's not our calendar with all of our events. It's just it's a public awareness, which is something we're tasked to doing, is raising public awareness to the diversity in the community and the things that are out there. I don't have a problem with that part. Just, you know, so I'm just bringing up that in order to research all of them and put something out there for each thing, you know, I think that is where it gets sticky to make the judgment of how much of it, you know, gets put out, what's relevant to put out there for some of them. So.
I have to say, I didn't have to do any research. The links already were there. And they went to pages that were like Wikipedia type pages. They were, or the website of a particular group or that sponsored the event. So I didn't have to do any research and look for anything. The links were already there on the web pages that I found all of these possible days. And also, it's not just days, there's also months and weeks. It's just not individual days. And there's some months that there's like 6 or 7, and some months I didn't see any. And I'm thinking there's got to be something that someone celebrates those months.
I'm wondering if we should table this part of the conversation so we have some time to kind of think about how to get it there, because or where to put it and how to put it, because I think we have like lots of different opinions, and you know, and I think looking at it and then sitting with it and then trying to come up with something is what might be better for right now. Just my opinion.
So maybe we should distribute what we have to date for the next meeting, so people will have a chance. We can distribute it beforehand, anytime, because we're not asking for opinion. Just here it is to look at, and we can talk about it at the next meeting. Is that allowable, Maria?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Is everyone comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yep. Elizabeth?
And I'll say with that too, I can share once that's done, I'll reply and share. I actually use a resource professionally that does something like this, and we do it in just a format of like, there's a PDF page per month and then everything is listed. So I'll save a copy of one example of that and share it with people just so that everyone can see. Because as I was hearing that, I was like, this sounds like this other thing. So I'll pass that along so you can all see it.
Okay.
What we have is an Excel workbook that we put together, and Jen was helping me consolidate it more, and we categorize things.
I mean, it sounds like I'm totally fine with tabling this for now. I think one of the questions that maybe we were even not on the same page with is I wasn't assuming that the whole calendar would be shared. Like, here's this doc, go check it out. It was more for us. I love the idea of soliciting opinions from the community of like, what would you like to celebrate? Like, what should be added here? And then, I mean, I feel like there's a ton of calendars out there if you were just going to Google search like what's celebrating today or something like that. But it's more, how can we be more proactive about what's upcoming for us to think about? And we don't have to do everything on that calendar list, but it's just a place for us to kind of go to as our the reference point.
One of the most useful ways that I think that calendars like this can be of use for groups like ours too is avoiding scheduling on days that would limit participation, right? I mean, in my faith tradition, we don't have any holy days where you can't do other things, or where you have actions or behaviors that like make you not prepared to engage with people in particular ways. But a lot of other traditions do. And when I want to schedule something that makes room for more people, it's helpful for me to like look at other people's traditions and think like, who might not be able to participate on this particular day. And as we're scheduling events for the wider community, I think it's useful for us to know, like, are we scheduling something on a day where some people in our community are going to say, that's great, but I have a really serious thing going on.
Yeah, and looking forward, it might, if we want to become more social media active, we might once a month be sending out a post and saying, the month of March is, and then just send people that portion, or the month of April is. So people and raise awareness that way in bits, 12 months, 12 different posts that say, what is celebrated, what is commemorated in this particular month, and make that sort of a regular thing that we send out.
Good idea.
And actually that might be a better way to use it than having just one big whole calendar that we expect people to go to.
Yeah, I definitely support the concept of having an internal list. Like that seems more like a list that kind of informs us or keeps us like aware of what things we might want to be posting about throughout the year, as opposed to like a calendar that we direct people to. That seems to me like I don't know, just less valuable, you know, because it's, you know, it doesn't remain present for people all throughout the year. It doesn't, yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of us posting proactively about things and using this calendar or this list as like an internal guide for that.
This is all very helpful in terms of how to go forward, because we just did this. I mean, I really did this enormous information dump and wasn't quite sure what we were going to do with it.
So just so I'm sure I'm not missing something, is that you haven't shown that to us yet, right?
I thought we did. I thought we shared it a couple of meetings ago, but I'm going to send it out again.
Oh, maybe I just lost track of it.
Yeah, we get a lot of email.
Because I was wishing, as you were describing it and as we were talking, I wished that I could look at it and see like what's on there, but maybe I have it somewhere.
I will make sure that I send it to everybody by tomorrow morning. And that way we'll have a whole month to mull it over and decide what to do. Because I've taken enough of your time already today.
All right. No, you guys have done a ton of work. Thank you so much to the two of you and to Kim, because yeah, communication is essential. And I love this idea with the goal of creating more visibility of different cultures and different events. And yeah, so I love the work that you've put in. Thank you.
And then unfortunately, I'm talking more because I have to speak, I guess, on Kim's behalf. And
yeah, she sent a text. She got held up at school, so she's going to try and join when she's able. So
okay.
Yeah,
okay, then I will hold off speaking on her behalf.
Okay. Yeah, if she's not here towards the end of the meeting, if you want to jump back in, that's totally fine. Okay, so going to International Women's Day. Teresa, are you okay do you want to give us just an update as to where things stand right now?
Yes, sure. So we've been meeting weekly. Everybody has been working really hard and trying to get with different members of the community and the business. I think most of you hopefully have seen some of the posts that we have shared in the Facebook page with the interviews that Kim has been working really hard on editing and making them nice and sweet. I think they're coming out great, but that's just me because I'm being biased. But the whole idea is to kind of keep them coming until the end of the month. And then at the end, Kim is going to come up with like a short video just to kind of wrap it all together. And the idea is to kind of keep sharing the post and just tag the business and just kind of keep promoting the different women. But I mean, I've learned so much already. We have some great people here in town. So it's great to see them. So I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything, Nicole or Maria.
I think the thing that I've loved watching about learning about their businesses, but also they've all talked about kind of how they've had to shift since the start of COVID, and just like the ingenuity that comes with and their approaches that they've taken has just been really amazing and inspiring. And I wanted to let a few people, Amy, I have not forgotten you. We are going to schedule a video with you and Officer Tobine. So we will get that in place. And Colleen and Maureen, you can tell the other women on the school committee and town council that I will be in touch with all of you to see if you would be interested. It is not mandatory. If you're not comfortable doing it, that's totally fine. But if you want to do it, we will be inviting you. As you know, we're featuring women business owners, but also civic leaders in the community. And so I plan to reach out to you all. It's been on my to-do list for the past couple of days, and I apologize that I haven't gotten to it yet, but I will.
Can I just comment?
I'm a woman business owner. Have been for 30 years, and I am located in Wakefield.
Oh, there you go.
We've got another one.
All right, we can write another one down.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was gonna say I have enjoyed them. I've watched them, and I too love learning and hearing about the challenges and sort of the career path that wasn't necessarily the one they were gonna choose, and that, you know, one thing led to another, and they fell in love with the business they're at, whether it was, you know, the parents had it before, I think. But I also love hearing that they go to work and they smell the bacon of the at Brothers, and you know, like just the community thing, right? Like you know, you guys are highlighting the women in the community and the businesses, but they're also, you know, without even knowing it, you just helping strengthen how great downtown Wakefield is, and how all the businesses work together. And I know that the town council always highlights and pushes the, you know, downtown business, and you know, Ed Dombrowski's always pushing to push downtown. Everybody is. So it's cool to see it, and it's not that you were pushing it at all. It comes out because of the close-knit community that we have downtown with the business owners, and at least that's what I got, you know, listening to a few of them. I think it was the lady who has the travel agency right next to her brothers, right? Like she says she smells the bacon in the morning. And I think of the commercials where I think I started this morning where the one company is selling small batches of bacon, and it's because they keep eating it. Like, so it's just great. And they're really well done. And in this world of COVID, you know, we did the, you know, virtual Martin Luther King, Curtis Scott thing, and you guys are continuing it with these videos, and it's great that you guys are doing it. So kudos, and you know, so far so good. I love it. So, and that you put in the, you know, the female group from Wakefield for the voices, right? Like that was pretty cool too. So good job.
All right. Anyone else have anything to say or any questions? All right. Okay, so moving on to the next, the active bystander training. I didn't mean to say reschedule, it's really just scheduling another one, because it seemed to be really popular and well received, and there were a lot of people that wanted to participate that didn't get a chance to because they were full. So I just wanted to, it's something that if people want to continue doing it, my question would be, do you feel like there was more response doing it on a weekday night as opposed to a weekend morning? If anyone has opinions about that, and then we should decide if we want to take a vote on having another one.
I know I preferred the weekend morning because I have so many meetings on weekday nights, but it seems like the weekday night filled up first and the weekend filled up after that was filled. So that indicates perhaps that people prefer the weeknights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. It did seem to fill up. The weekday night seemed to fill up faster than the weekend morning. So maybe we should do that. Thursday night seemed to be, I would check before I scheduled it. I would check the community calendar, obviously, to make sure that there wasn't another conflicting meeting or anything like that. But yeah, we can do that.
And would we have to, you had mentioned before that we might co-sponsor with somebody.
So yeah, this is something that we have enough in the finances to be able to pay in full for another one. Because we have I know this is further down on the agenda, but it fits in right now. So we have $1,000 in our line item budget. And I think roughly 800 of that will now be accounted for the previous two trainings that they're in the process of paying those. So that's about 200 left over from that. And then from the closed bank account, which included the donation from last year, in addition to about $300 left over from earlier, from money that we had prior to having a line item budget, there's $1,300 in that revolving account. So we do have the money to pay for that in full. It would require a vote to just make sure that we're allocating money from each of those budgets, because it would come half from the line item budget and half from the revolving account. But yeah, if we wanted to pay for it in full, we can. If you want me to reach out to another organization to see if they would be interested, the third option that we had talked about was also subsidizing it in part and then having people pay, you know, $5 or $10 or something like that to join.
I have a question. If we don't use the money that's in our accounts, does it roll over? We don't lose the money?
The revolving account, we don't lose the money because that was ours. That was a donation made exclusively to the HRC. The line item budget, whatever, if there's any money left over in the line item budget at the end of the fiscal year, Maureen, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it doesn't roll over. I think we start the next fiscal year with $1,000 again.
It goes back into the general funds of the town.
Right.
Okay. Has any other organization expressed interest in perhaps being a co-sponsor to get their name on this also as a co-sponsor?
They haven't, but in honesty, I haven't reached out to any organizations to see, so it's quite possible that someone might be interested.
Yeah, because I'm thinking we could pay for one in full, but if we got co-sponsorship, we could do more than one, and that would be like great. The more, the better, I think.
Yeah.
I'm excited about offering it for free. I think free is best in terms of the cost to the participants.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And did everyone who signed up attend? Because sometimes when things are free, people find it a little bit easier not to show up.
I think the majority, certainly the majority of people, I think there were maybe one or two people in each session that something came up, either a work thing or traffic or something like that, that they weren't able to get back, that they weren't able to log on. But I do think that almost everyone that signed up for each training was present at it.
Maria, did we pay for like the max participants, or do we pay for just who was there?
We paid for you pay for just the training, and then you can have a maximum of, I think, 20 per training. So yeah.
Okay, so it's a flat fee regardless of if everyone, okay.
Yeah, and though if for the Saturday one, I know she had told me, I think it was, I'd have to go back and check, but I think it was if they had under 10 registering that they would cancel and reschedule. So so that you weren't paying the flat fee for only three participants, for example.
Okay.
Does anyone have any suggestions on other groups that might want to co-sponsor with us?
I wonder if like the Boys and Girls Club would maybe, or maybe one of the churches in town.
I think we know that Wave did it in the past. I don't know if they'd want to do it again, or if they have the budget to co-sponsor or not. I don't know about that.
I'm not sure. Did you guys check in with the Wake Up Coalition as well? So I was just thinking if there was connection with wellness and health in general and active bystander training, that they generally have some funds that are, grants that they sometimes have money that they can, this year might be a little difficult, but didn't know if we could make that connection with wellness and health.
I can ask Wave.
Go ahead.
We have our monthly meeting tomorrow, so I can ask Wave what's the amount that you're looking for the co-sponsor to put in?
I think I'll double check after the meeting. I'm pretty sure that each training was around 400. So if we wanted to have two, then maybe we could each pay 400, or if we, see what they might be comfortable, if they want to possibly partner, what they would be comfortable doing.
Sure, I can ask tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, Amy.
And any thoughts on maybe partnering with the Melrose HRC or the Stoneham one, since they're trying to start it up? Maybe doing it with them.
That's definitely a possibility. My only concern is that if we only have two, that might be expanding the audience of how many people might be interested in doing it, and having a lot more people that might potentially be left out if it's over registered. Just because looking at the fact that just having it in Wakefield, it was oversubscribed. So not that, I mean, I love the idea of collaborating with other HRCs. It's just a matter of not overcommitting, but yeah.
Space.
Space. That's what I'm trying to get at. Thank you.
Yeah, just to go back to Amy's question, right? Like we would, we're talking about putting the whole thing on ourselves. So anybody who's willing to, come on board with us and donate something, like you said, Maria, is a plus, right? Like, we're in a good spot where we could offer one ourselves, but it'd be great to have a co-sponsor and really, push this. So that it's great that we're looking into it, I think. So Benny's point, like if we can offer 2 or 3 of them by co-sponsoring and keep them free, I think it's even better. So
it doesn't have to be a 50-50 co-sponsor, right?
Right.
That's what I heard from Jeremy. Yeah.
I like Nicole's idea of the Boys and Girls Club, that maybe we get more young people to participate and raise their awareness about what they can do, could do, if they see a situation.
I think that's another thing to consider, Maria, because I know the Quabbin, they do stuff for youth groups as well as adults. So would we consider doing like a youth focused one with Boys and Girls Club and then another adult one with maybe another group? So I think we can think about different audiences as well as different partners.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. All right, so why don't we revisit this next month, and I will reach out to Amy. If you can talk to Wave, I can reach out to Catherine Dingra at Wake Up and Anthony Guardia at the Boys and Girls Club. And if there are, Elizabeth, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to the Clergy Council to see if there are any churches that would be interested in doing this.
I'd be happy to.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. And then, yeah, I will ask them I'll ask Quabbin Mediation about the youth focused one. And then we can kind of come back to this next month and have a clearer picture. All right. Okay. Anything else about that? Okay. So moving on to the HRC applicant recommendations. So as you all know, Jen and Kim will not be, their terms are up, and there are 4 open seats. So I sent all of the applications to all of you. One that I wanted to point out, I know there was someone applying for the student position, and I am in the process of clarifying with Steve Mayo if I believe that is going to continue to go through the superintendent and the high school principal. So I want to leave that person out of the conversation, applying for the student position. And then I'm happy to hear people's thoughts, but just to kind of get the ball rolling, I want to, or I guess I should preface it by saying, these are recommendations that we give to the town council. This is not the ultimate deciding factor. The town council will do the appointments, and we are still kind of clarifying in terms of school committee involvement in those appointments. That is being worked out with the chairs and with Steve Mayo. But in terms of the applicants, the first 2 people that I want to recommend are Teresa and Jeremy, because both of them, since they joined, have thrown all of their heart and soul into these committees. They've jumped in with both feet. They have, like, their dedication is unquestioned. And so I would love to have them, if they're, I mean, they applied, so I assume you are interested, but I would love to have you continue with the board, and I'm happy to recommend you both be reappointed.
I think we
second
all agree with you, Maria. I think we all agree that it's there's been so much, there was so much turnover, and to have the continuity of two great participants continue. I mean, it's just, I think it's very important, especially losing, a couple of people who have been such great contributors.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, like, the reason I reapplied is because I feel like I barely got my feet wet. We came in October, so we're still rookies, or I am anyway. So
no, I agree.
That's why I threw it in. I've been happy to be on. It's been awesome so far, and if it's the way it goes, great. But like Maureen said, like, it's open to everybody. Like Maureen said, that it's open to whoever to join in. So, but it's been fun so far, and we'll talk more about other HRCs in the area, but they all look to Wakefield, which is great. So.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. That's why I reapply, but I definitely have to up my game with the cover letter and resume writing. I'm definitely behind. That's what I've learned through this process. I was like, wow, you have some great people applying. So whatever happens, I think it's great. I'll still continue to participate. So I'm happy that I joined. So thank you.
Can I also recommend someone too?
Anyone can.
Eileen Rooney. I always mess up her first name because I think of her title on the screen. Also, I think she's been great. She's been a part of the two groups that Teresa and I have been in, and really have dedicated a lot to it. And I think she would be a great addition as well.
Yeah, I absolutely support that. Yeah, she's shown up at meetings. The general meeting, she's been coming for the past couple months. She's volunteered for the International Women's Day and MLK, Coretta Scott King. So yeah, her dedication is, it's clear.
Are the different candidates going to be chosen by different bodies?
That is still being, I think it's likely going to be under town council, but again, that's being worked out by Steve and the two chairs of the town council and school committee. So I don't have the final say on that. Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, well, I mean, it's the elephant in the room is that one of the people who applied is on the call as public. I don't know either the other two people that have applied. I will say I was impressed with some of what Daniela had said about her involvement in her other town, so that could translate well here.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. No, I know it's hard to kind of to talk about who we're recommending, but yeah, I agree, and I love the fact that you're here tonight, Daniela, that you came to show your interest in the group. So yeah, I'm happy to recommend you as well.
Thanks, and I'm so sorry. I totally didn't mean to pop in at this moment. It seems like I meant it, but I meant to go to the last one after I had applied, and I actually miscounted which days of the week. I contacted someone. They're like, yeah, that was last week. And I was like, that's what day of the week it is. Okay. And yeah, so I'll stay tuned, and thank you, Maureen. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, for bringing it up that people can be involved even if they aren't elected official members, which is, I think, important, because I'm sure there's tons of people that want to support and they just don't know how.
Yeah, I'm going to repeat it. I think the HRC can do a better job about publicizing the meetings and saying they're open to everyone. And, each time you do a a recap, or, you know, even on the videos that you're posting, those great videos, you know, they should join us at our next meeting, March 7th, 16th, 17th. Like, I think we should just make it part of the post and that they're open to all. And I think, you know, every single business person or civic leader that you are talking to should be told when the next meeting is. And, you know, Daniela, you know, I fully expect to see you at April's meeting, regardless of whether you get a voting. Because again, you know, there's also going to be transitions from the liaisons. Like Colleen will not be your liaison going forward, but I fully expect to see Colleen here every so often. So, and helping, I'm throwing it out there, but you know, I will.
Colleen might need a vacation first.
Expect to see that. I think we can build something really great. And so I think to be more deliberate about reminding people that these are open to everyone. And then, you know, as you're coming up with the subcommittees, like anyone can join those. Like, it sounds like I didn't catch her name.
Eileen.
Eileen, like there are people that help with stuff, you know, and I've always helped with stuff and never been.
That's how I started.
So yeah.
That's how I started too.
Yeah. I think we can, you know, there's just so much to be done. So I don't know, but yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
And it took me 2 tries, so don't be deterred if you don't get it the very first time.
Yeah, and I also just want you all to take a minute as to like what you have built and been a part of over the last 5 years, that you're having such amazing candidates apply. And like, we had amazing candidates. It was a tough decision when we had to do it less than a year ago, and it'll be a tough decision now. Like, it just the people who are, you know, finding out about you and wanting to be part of the group is just pretty inspirational. I know Teresa saying that, you know, we've upped our ante game. When we first started, when I first started the town council, people like it's something we implemented. Like, we need a letter of interest and a resume if you have one. And people were like, no, we don't want to do that, because like, we've served for 20 years. Why do we need a resume? And we're like, because how do we get new people if we don't know what their interest is or their background? Like, I don't know them by name, you know? And so we don't need like a formal, but people give us what they have. But I just love, you know, reading the stories of why people want to help out. So yeah, you guys take a moment to like celebrate just the people that are getting involved.
As someone who's constantly trying to recruit new leadership, because I work with nonprofit boards all the time, it does say a great deal about an organization when people ask if they could be considered, rather than having to beat down the doors to find your candidates. So I know that I'm very proud to be part of this, and I think that you guys do great work.
So I don't know any of the applicants except for Jeremy and Teresa, and I know them through this work. But I will say that the people whose applications really stuck out to me were Eileen, who talked about work that she's already been doing here in Wakefield, and Daniela, who talked about work that she's done in her previous town. But also what really stuck out to me about Daniela's application was where she said that she wants to like be working in community and with community, and also working on her own learning at the same time. And that feels really good to me, because working with someone who doesn't think that they are an expert and who is like, yep, we're all always continuing to learn and grow, feels really good. And that's the kind of person that I want to work with.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Okay, so I think we have our 4 recommendations. Okay.
So is it those 4 and then also the student seat?
There's one other person who applied.
Right, but I'm saying.
Right, but we're not, again, waiting for clarification from Steve and Doug Lyons in terms of the student appointment. In the past, it has never been us that appoints the student. That has come only from the superintendent's office. And so when I saw the student application come in, I had checked with Steve, and yeah, they're working that out. So I don't think that we need to make any kind of recommendation.
Right. But my question is, how many seats, like what are all the seats that are available?
So 5 with the student seat.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Sorry for that long-winded answer. It could have been much shorter. Okay. Okay, so moving on to the next agenda item. Hi, Faith. Sorry, we didn't.
Hi.
So I have a question for you that, but I wanted to check first if you have any updates for us from the Black Student Union.
Right now we're just planning a panel with like 8 other schools to just talk about like this whole mascot thing, and then also other things that are going on, like some things are going on in Waltham that the school of Waltham, they wanted to talk about with us. So we're just planning a big Zoom webinar. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Do you have, is the panel scheduled yet?
So right now it's scheduled for March 23rd, but it's so likely it's going to get pushed back to the 30th.
Okay. All right. As you get more details, will you send them out, or you can send it to me and I can let people know?
Yeah, I will send the flyer as soon as it's officially finished.
Okay. And then the Juneteenth reference that I had included was a letter was sent to Town Hall that Steve Mayo forwarded to me from the North Shore, hold on a sec, the North Shore Juneteenth Association. And I'm
a part of that group too,
oh, you
by
are?
the way. Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So they had sent a letter saying they're inviting communities across the country to celebrate the Juneteenth holiday. I'll just read it really quickly. North Shore Juneteenth Association has organized Juneteenth flag raising events in communities since 2017. The goal of our organization is to have all cities and towns raise the Juneteenth flag in their communities for 1 week. The Juneteenth Association is a group of community leaders seeking to create awareness about the Juneteenth holiday, educate the broader community about positive aspects of African American culture, and dismantle racism by using events and programming as a tool for change. We will be reaching out to your city by phone in the weeks ahead. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. And I can email out I'll send the website to Benny to put in the notes if people want to take a look at it. So I wanted to see if that, obviously I know you don't speak on behalf of the Black Student Union, you need to go back and check with them, but I wanted to see if you were interested in possibly partnering in doing any kind of events around Juneteenth.
Yeah, so right now, I'm pretty sure that the seniors were planning like a senior trip for like Juneteenth to celebrate Juneteenth, but I don't know how that's working. I definitely want to take this back to the group, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna definitely partner and like move forward with that. But okay. I think that's what's going on right now for Juneteenth.
All right, and I'm happy to forward the email that has the letter. And then the only other thing I wanted to add to that is when Steve forwarded the letter to me, he said that he would be happy to purchase the flag and is totally fine with us flying the flag. We need to talk about it because it's also during Pride Month, so I don't want dueling flags. So we can kind of figure out the details around that. But just wanted to let everyone know. And then
we have a big event. We usually have a race to celebrate the entrance going into Juneteenth, and so this year it's going to be in August because it's still virtual, but yeah, it's a great thing. So
good.
I feel like that's all the more reason to, this has been on my list to do since last June, but to talk to the city about why we can't use the other flagpole.
Yeah.
Because we could put the Juneteenth flag on the flagpole in the common. We could put the Pride flag on the flagpole in front of the Civic Center.
Mm-hmm.
Bam, solves all our problems.
I'm not opposed to it, but I don't get to make the decision.
Even as even if we can't use both, like speaking only for myself as a white queer person, like yes, please, let's pull down the Pride flag for some time and put up the Juneteenth flag.
We know which week? Is it like the second week of June? Usually, I think Juneteenth's usually the 18th, 16th. So is it is the request for the second week of June and the third week of June, or like Wednesday to Wednesday, or I guess, do we have that information?
I don't know if you do, Nicole.
I'm trying to think. I think she wants it from the Sunday to Saturday, but I can't remember. I'm sorry. We were talking about race stuff last week, so I can't remember what she said. So,
okay.
Is the federal holiday the 19th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and Nicole, as you learn about more events, if you want to pass them along to us, if there's the possibility of partnership, that's, I think everyone's open to that possibility too. All right. Yana, do you have any updates from the Youth Council?
Yeah, I have a few since I didn't get to make last meeting. Yeah. But before that, I was going to talk about how Senator Jason Lewis came to the Youth Council meeting in mid-February, so it's quite a while ago. But that was really important. He brought out a lot of main points. His daughter actually was able to come, and we were able to ask many questions because she experienced what we are experiencing right now because they changed the Winchester logo. So that was really cool to hear about here. It's very important, I felt like. And also, I know the tribal leader presentation is tomorrow. I know some students are thinking of making that. And then there's also a survey that we're sending out to students about the logo, so they feel like they have a voice in it. I know that's coming out later this week, I believe. And I think that's all. So that was a lot.
No, that was not a lot at all. You guys have been busy. So thank you for all the work that you're doing. And yeah, I know it hasn't been easy. So, but yeah, you have our support.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, and kind of as a segue into the next item on the agenda, I just wanted to check in with everyone in terms of our stance on the high school logo, that we did our statement. I didn't get any emails or any blowback from it. I didn't know if anyone else did on a personal level. I hope that you didn't. And beyond that, in terms of what, we've already done the statement, and we did publicize the panel of Native Americans for tomorrow night. So beyond that, I didn't know if people had other actions that they felt like we should be taking. So I just wanted to open it up to people.
I just want to say I did hear feedback, but it was all good. It was about how well written the statement was and how it was really an educated perspective and not based on like, our personal opinion or anything, but it was really based on what's out there and what's, being put out by the people mostly affected by it. Like, we put ourselves in their shoes. And ironically, the Dr. Seuss thing came out around the same time, and that our statement went out. And this person also mentioned that, the same logic should be applied to the Dr. Seuss, and like people should realize that, it's not about just removing things to remove them. It all has, it's all based in really, really core things that, so I guess I just want to congratulate everyone again for putting out a very nice statement, and you know, like we discussed it last month, but it was very well written and very well put out there. So kudos.
Thanks, Jeremy. Anyone else? Colleen, go ahead.
Yeah, Maria, is it okay if I give just a couple updates? Yana had already spoken to them, so thank you, Yana. And I joined your youth council meeting with Jason Lewis. And again, I continue to be awed by your professionalism and grace. And, you know, I've been in meetings with adults that aren't run as well as your meetings are. And you're so respectful of each other and the opinions that come to you as well. You know, you're not always prepared for what you hear. But you guys are always open-minded and with open ears as well. So just more praise for you guys, and you deserve all of it and more. So I just wanted to say that, but also that, so Yana spoke to our panel, which is tomorrow evening, 7 to 9. It is going to be in a webinar format. So you will join the webinar, and the panelists will be panelists and webinar speak, and so will the school committee members. And we have Jason Lewis attending, Kate Lipper-Garabedian, and also we think Donald Wong. He kind of might just zoom in. Didn't even mean that. So they will hopefully be able to speak. We're trying to make it timely in that each person has equal time to speak, and also the school committee will have a question and answer period after our panelists speak. So we're trying to make sure everything is kind of tightened up in that way, and the legislators may make some remarks as well. And then, like Yana referred to as well, our survey will be going out tomorrow. So there's a survey for students, and we included grades 8 to 12. That took about a month to figure out, like, really who we should survey, and trying to keep students protected and safe as well. So the administrators and the principals at each of the buildings was really helpful in understanding how that works. So that's going out along with a community survey. Sorry, I'm just getting an unstable, so I'm sorry if I'm broken up.
No, you're fine.
Oh, I'm okay. Okay.
So clarifying question.
Yep.
About the student survey. So is that specifically for students in the Galvin Middle School and Wakefield Public High School, or is that inclusive of all 8 through 12 students who live in Wakefield but may have chosen to go to another school, sometimes for reasons like this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I believe I'm gonna say that we probably are sending it to our Wakefield High School and Galvin Middle School students, but I can certainly make sure that the survey is sent out. We have record, the district does, of students who are out of district.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking particularly of kids even at the tech school, right, who are still public school students who live in Wakefield. Right.
And, you know, I know the chair of the youth council is not a Wakefield Public Schools student either. You know, I'm just thinking that's a really good point. And I'll make sure that I talk to Doug about that and make sure that we can tap into that as much as possible. The community survey will be a little bit different in terms of its wording, and that will be communicated out through the same database that we've been using to communicate our messages. But what I was going to ask is that you could also share that as much as possible on social media. And then, you know, we just reach a broader group, so.
Can I ask Colleen, sharing on social media, we're only, are there questions in the survey? Like, are you a resident? You know, like we're only looking for opinions of people who live here or people who used to live here, or is that open to really anybody?
I haven't actually seen the survey.
Okay.
they were just drafted by Doug and a couple of members of his team that he's been trusting in this process. So that is another great question. So now I got to write this down.
I mean, we can definitely share it on the HRC Facebook page. I guess I was wondering if you were asking us individually too to like share it out there, and a lot of our networks aren't.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously encouraging Wakefield people or people with connection to Wakefield to fill it out.
You know, it's one of those things where we've talked about this before. We obviously get broader opinion outside of our town and district, but when it comes down to it, we need to sort of, you know, include, we have to put a priority on those who live in the town and attend the district, right? So I don't.
One piece of that pie is families of people whose children attend Wakefield Public Schools. So like Metco families, or like if people have like blended households or something where some parents live in another town or whatever, like those parents I think would also be important, even if they're not Wakefield residents.
So anyone who's on our school messenger, Benny, will, no matter, you know, as long as the students are students of the district, the parents will, wherever they may live, will still receive that as they receive any school messenger message. Does that make sense? Does that, okay. But I will bring up those two things that you guys mentioned.
Great. Question, is there actually some kind of timeline for resolution of this issue?
So we're past our initial timeline. Well, I say speaking from the school committee and specifically the policy, I hate to say it's not my policy and communication subcommittee. So initially we wanted to be voting on this on our March 23rd. No, sorry, what is today?
Today is 16.
So our March 23rd meeting, but because we want to give enough time for the survey, we usually give about 2 weeks on a survey. So that would extend it to the next meeting, which I believe is April 9th. Now, you can make a school committee member can make a motion anytime. They can make a motion at our March 23rd meeting to vote, you know, that's possible too. But I think that we have a process set up that we want to follow. It's been communicated to our community. And as you know, there is a question on the ballot on April 27th. I think everyone's aware of that and understands that we, as a school committee, did decide to stick with our process and let that happen as it might. It was really based on how we felt, you know, how we should be making this decision. And there's a lot of conflict around that, right? So, but that will still happen. And, you know, what comes from that, the school committee would need to decide what to do about that if they wanted to.
Well, I understand it's non-binding.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. It's more informational than anything, but we felt like going through the process would gather us deeper information. I mean, even tomorrow's event, I'm just so proud that we're having an event like that. You know, I mean, it's really a unique opportunity to hear the Native American perspective outside of, you know, I mean, it's specific to this issue, but when do we get that opportunity? When can, you know, adults and students all sit down and listen to that? So it's something that we wanted, you know, as hard as the conversation has been, and I've talked to some of Yana's colleagues at Youth Council about this, as hard as the conversation has been, we've learned a great deal, right? And anything that we do. And I feel like tomorrow is just gonna be another one of those evenings. And speaking about the community forum, all I heard, and, you know, I was trying to listen to really both perspectives and be respectful of everything that we hear. It was almost like jealousy that you all were so prepared, you know, like it really speaks to the level of understanding and the perspective, you know, and that was clear that night. So I commend all of you and all of the people that spoke really authentically, but, you know, were able to back up their perspectives with, you know, either Native American panel leaders or legislature or whatnot. So it really does make a difference. And I don't think that anyone could say, you know, whether they agree or not, what was put forth was just so well thought out.
I just want to, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jen.
It's very quick. I know that the panel, the Native American panel tomorrow is on Zoom, and it's also being broadcast on WCAT. Is there any benefit for logging in via Zoom versus just watching it? Or is it the same, it'll be the same experience regardless of how you tune in, because there's no interactivity if you're not actually on the panel?
Right. Yeah, good question, Jen. Yeah, so it would just be the same because it's a webinar format. We did a dry run yesterday, and I mean, you could ask questions and answers as a attendee of the webinar, but we're actually asking people not to. So, so it's going to be there, and we're gonna try to monitor it, but we're asking that the public send questions via email if they have any concerns or questions that they want to ask either the school committee or the panelists. Because we've decided to make it a sort of a private discussion for protection of our Native American representatives.
So there won't be the availability of the Zoom chat?
Right, yeah, we've figured a way that only the panelists can talk to each other, because the difficult thing during Zoom, right, is that during like say school committee, for instance, or a town council or these meetings, you would have to get up to speak. You would only speak during public comment, but now that we have this chat feature, people are just like, firing whatever and at each other, and it becomes a disrespectful space at times. So we didn't want that available at all. So we can chat with each other really just about if something's going wrong, but we try to make it as much like a meeting in person would be out of respect for our participants. So.
Is it being broadcast on Facebook too?
Yeah, on the WCAT page.
All right, so then they'll whatever.
And I would imagine they'll rebroadcast as well, as long as our participants are okay with that.
I just wanted to make one point to everybody as we just, we were talking about the active bystander. This, I'm finding for myself, reading and seeing community members verbal discourse is challenging for me. And as a Black woman, I'm finding it almost the same as their, like attack. I'm not a Native American, and I find it, very sorrowful, I'll say. I just keep thinking about back in the day, lynching was tradition, having slaves was tradition, and just listening to people say it and then the things that they're saying behind it and talking about the youth. So I just encourage everybody to reread the motto of being an active bystander and really being active and protecting those people, even other people of other race that live in this town, because it's very hard. I find it very challenging to be in this space right now. I think this group is great, and I have been looking forward to just coming here and feeling like it's a safe space, but I feel like the world is not safe for me right now, and it's hard. It's very hard. So I just encourage everybody you don't have to, oh, are you okay? And things like that, but just be mindful and sensitive to those of us that can't just walk by and 1 minute not think about it. Those of us, I can't always not think about it.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks for saying that, Nicole.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you feel comfortable with this group to be able to share that and to know that you're in a supportive and a safe place. Yeah, and it makes me think in terms of the conversations that we're seeing, in terms of not in trying to not take care of, but trying to show that the person who's being bullied, that you're with them, doesn't always and doesn't usually mean engaging with the person that's attacking them, but it means showing them in some way that you're with them and you're supportive. And whether that means like an individual message or some show to say that you support them, it goes a long way. So thank you for sharing that.
I also, that like really connected some dots in my mind, Nicole, around like this issue, yes, is about Native American, like how we portray and think about Native Americans and how they're represented in our community, but it's about a lot more than that, right? Like it's about Wakefield being like a welcoming and safe place, because if somebody, even folks who aren't Native American, but other people of color are like thinking like, do I want to move to Wakefield? Let me read the paper and see what kind of community this is like. And it's like, oh shit, no way. Like, you know, it's like, there's so much signaling about who is welcome and who is not welcome here.
Thanks, Benny. I just have a quick question for Colleen or for Yana or Faith. In terms of the students, having the students watch this, has this been publicized to the students? Or how widely would you say it's been publicized to them?
The survey, Maria?
Sorry, no, the panel for tomorrow night.
Oh, the panel. Yana, did you receive a school messenger email? Because I know what I receive as an adult, but I don't know what you receive as a student.
I think I just know about around the youth council, but I think they're going to send it out to everyone tomorrow. People should know. I know there might have been some talk about teachers letting them know that that's sent out. They weren't exactly sure what how, but I think teachers might mention it, or like in homeroom or something like that. But we'll be posting it on social media so people are aware too of that. So hopefully they like find out. I think that's our main goal, is that this time around, because we did send out a survey before, and some students complained because they didn't see it. So we are definitely taking as much like precaution as we can so that every student is aware of it.
Great.
I have a quick question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, and sorry, it's the first I heard about the conversation for tomorrow. The Native leaders that are coming, are they from different tribes, or does everyone have a different perspective, or is it everyone who is on the same page about the logo for Native leaders joining? I don't know that.
Most of the Native leaders are aligned with the bills that have been presented to legislature and the recommendations that have been made from the national groups. But we do have a Native American representative coming. They were recommended to us by one of our community members. And I know that he has got a different perspective. Dick Baird was invited, and his perspective is more along the lines of keeping the logo, but Dick is very ill right now. And last time I checked, he was in the hospital. So he will not be joining us. His nephew is Leonard Rose, whose name has come up a few times. He runs the Baird's Trading Post. And in our conversations with Leonard, Leonard was respectful of his uncle's position and was going to try to convey that as much as he could, along with his own differing perspective.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Amy.
I think your other question, Maria, was like, what else should we be doing? I was thinking, we could send out a reminder either tonight or tomorrow about the event. And then when it's live, we could try to post the WCAT stream of it or share that so that it's there. And then also in our, or if we, I don't know if we have to share it more than once, but like once it's the recording of it, we could certainly post the link to it for those who didn't see it live.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. All right. Anyone else? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I just wanted to say that our last meeting, the Black Student Union, we talked about this panel that's coming up, and most of our members are actually planning on going. And yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
Fantastic.
That's great.
Thanks, Faith.
That's great.
All right. Okay. So moving down to the next agenda item, I'm going to let Jeremy talk. For my part, in terms of networking, I have reached out to 2 other HRCs in the area, Melrose and Linfield, but admittedly, I just reached out to them yesterday. So I have not heard anything back, but I know Jeremy has spoken with Stoneham. So Jeremy, I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I am fortunate enough that one of my fellow trustees in the church in Stoneham is actually on the board of the Stoneham Human Rights Commission. So we are always comparing notes, you know, just in general. But I did reach out to him, and he's going back to their board to find out if there's still interest, because he originally approached me about, you know, having the Stoneham committee, which is younger than we are, you know, kind of bounce some things off us at one point. And it came up that I think we talked about, you know, it would be great to have sort of a Human Rights Commission coalition, I would call it, an HRCC or something like that, that's local, and just, you know, get together as a sounding board, or hopefully eventually to do some, like, you know, events co-sponsored. As someone brought up about partnering with Stoneham to do the, you know, the active bystander training, and, you know, like stuff like that in the future, I think would be awesome. I think we don't really have a connection yet with other groups, so I think it's still in the infancy, and you know, reaching out from us is a great thing, and that's kind of where we are. He and I have broken the ice between Stoneham and Wakefield, and you know, it's kind of in their court now to find out what their interest is as a group, and so I would just make sure that we as a group also have interest in pursuing some interactions with other ones before it goes any further. So, you know, I would just make sure that everybody's still on board here about at least trying to do something in terms of comparing notes, or just a group. I don't know. I don't know how it works with the different towns and how it would have to be. I was thinking about it today before we met, and how logistically it would work to have a formal council coalition or council of like the group. But I think definitely an informal thing, or inviting, like, you know, their members to our meet, 1 or 2 of their members to our meeting, and vice versa, would just be cool to get sort of their perspective, because I think you'll find that a lot of the challenges are the same, and a lot of the types of events we're trying to do are similar, and I think there's a lot of knowledge that can be gained from sharing with the other communities. So
yeah, I think that's I love those ideas. And once I do hear, and there's a few other towns that I want to reach out to, so once I hear back from them, hopefully between now and the next meeting, maybe you and I can talk and kind of share the feedback that we've gotten from the other towns, and see if we can create a little more of a plan going forward.
Yeah, totally. So
does Reading have an HRC?
It's not a town body. I think there was they wanted to start a town body, and then they ended up doing, Mayreen, do you know if is it a nonprofit? Is it
like a quasi?
With the Human Relations Coalition.
Yeah, I don't know if it's technically a nonprofit.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But yeah, they had some.
They call it an advisory board or something, right?
Yes, something like that.
Human Relations Advisory Board.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. But yeah, there were a lot of struggles in starting an HRC-like body in Reading.
Maria, I think I missed what you said a minute ago. You said that you were gonna do what? What was the next step?
I'm waiting to hear back from Melrose and Linfield. And then I'm going to reach out also to Reading, and North Reading had reached out to us a couple months ago because they want to start one and wanted to talk about kind of what our process was. So I might actually invite them to next month's meeting or share the training with them and kind of the history. But once I talk with them, then I'm going to connect with Jeremy, and we'll kind of put all of those ideas together and have see what kind of plan that we can propose at next month's meeting. Right. All right, thanks, Jeremy. Moving on, the electronic storage for the HRC documents. I started that process, and admittedly, I like with doing the readings for Black History Month and then and I have done a minimal amount for the International Women's Day, but just those two things with the chair responsibilities, my responsibilities from last month's meeting kind of got pushed off until literally this week. So I have started the process. I'm waiting to hear back from IT because you have to set up a Microsoft account first. And I won't get into all the details, but I'm waiting for confirmation that that account has been set up before I can then go into the electronic storage space that they've established for us. So moving forward, and we'll have a much fuller report for you all next month. Finance, I already did, but does anybody have any other questions related to the finances?
I did, Maria, because I thought I saw it was on somebody's, maybe the town council's agenda, that they were accepting or that it's going to be accepting a donation, which is really just our prior balance or something. So when you called it a revolving account versus the line item account, are they both with the town now? It's just one operates differently. So we don't actually have our own like separate bank account anymore.
Right, there's no separate bank account.
Thank you.
Yep, no, that's okay, because yeah, it was a little confusing. So yeah, the account had been opened way before we had a line item budget, and just for simplicity, the town accountant was like, let's close that one and let's just have, because you have outstanding donations that belong solely to you, they decided to do two accounts. So yeah, we have the line item budget account that will be $1,000 every fiscal year. And then we have the roughly $1,300 for a revolving account. And once that is, I assume if we get other donations, and we don't solicit donations, but sometimes people give us unsolicited donations, they would go into that revolving account. And one other thing related to that, Sherry Dalton had asked me to, if we could have someone assigned to get they'll get monthly emails with the balance of that account. And as the secretary, I asked Benny if she would take that on. So she's kind of secretary treasurer now. So she's going to be getting those emails. And if we need updates as to what the balance is for the revolving account, she can give us those. So,
just FYI, I haven't gotten any of those emails yet. Should I be getting them?
No, town council just approved the transfer that was worded as a donation at the meeting last week. So yeah, I don't think you would have received any just yet. Okay. So for the last thing, so I know that, kind of referring back to the calendar that we were talking about, so May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and June is Pride Month. So I also realized that everyone has been working really, really hard for the past couple months observing Black History Month and Women's History. So I don't want to overtax people, but I also feel that particularly in light of a lot of the attacks that have been perpetuated against Asian Americans in light of COVID, and I would like to have some kind of recognition, not necessarily of that, but just, again, visibility. And that can be, we can keep it simple. We can do like a book, a few books, a few readings, if people want to do that. And then I know that we always have celebrated Pride Month with the flag raising and other events. And again, I don't know, I know that a few town events like Festival by the Lake has already been postponed till the fall. So I would anticipate there's not going to be really any public events, but virtual events that we want to do. So I wanted to get people's thoughts on that and volunteers for any of those.
I think it's kind of nice. book reading strategy that we have developed. I feel like this is a good, like it's a helpful model to apply to a lot of different types of things. Like we could do similar to what we did for Indigenous Peoples Day and what you all did for Black History Month, we could do for API month.
I agree.
And I'm happy to like be involved in that.
Thanks, Benny.
I was wondering also,
I'll work with Benny.
I have an idea too. I'll send to you, Benny and Sherry.
I can do a reading if in May if you need a reader. I have a pretty strong voice sometimes.
I would like to be a reader as well, but I'll work on picking materials and with the library.
Thank you all. And I don't know if it's too early to start talking about Pride Month or if we have volunteers for that. If you feel like it's too early, we can put that off till next month.
Well, there's always some things that would be good to be working on ahead of time. I feel like, again, I'm thinking about the flag where there's like a lot of kind of lead up, like we have to go to the town council. Like, are we going to ask them to get a different flag this year? We wanted to have the Philly flag.
Philly flag, right.
Are we going to try to push them to, like, there's some stuff, if we do want to do anything different having to do with the flag, seems like probably it will need more lead up time. Well, I mean, next month is April though. That's still enough time, hopefully. But I'm just thinking like, if we meet in mid-April and then the subcommittee like kind of gets the wheels turning kind of slow, maybe that's how it works sometimes, I'm just saying. And then, you know, before you know it, it's the middle of May and then it's like, we've lost our opportunity to talk to the town council about this issue.
Yeah.
Also, are we going to want to distribute flags to the public again? Because we'll have to order them.
Do we have any leftover flags from last year?
I have about 20.
Okay.
And I just thought of something not anticipated, so.
Okay. All right, so maybe as trying to think of the best way to handle, especially with the town council, just because of meetings when they happen. And if we are, well, I guess to back up, in terms of the Philly flag, if we want to order that, that's something that we can certainly do from our own budget. And that's something that we can vote on tonight if people want to do that. In terms of talking to town council, are you talking about in terms of the flagpole in front of town hall, or is there a separate question that you would want to ask them?
That was my question, which I had been tasked on like following up with somebody from the town about, which I haven't done that yet. So I can also just like, instead of forming the committee, I can just like take steps on this thing that I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. So maybe that's what should happen first.
Okay. Yeah, and do we want to take a vote on ordering the Philly flag? Since that was something that we had decided.
I think Elizabeth and I might have the same comment, but if we're going to order a new flag, can I propose that we order the Progress flag instead of the Philly flag?
That was going to be my comment as well. The Progress flag, for anyone who isn't familiar with the names that have been assigned, it's the one with the chevrons on the side that has both the black and brown stripes, but also the trans flag stripes on the side.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking of when I was saying the Philly flag.
Yeah, the Philly flag is the one that just adds the brown and black, which
at the bottom,
which is the one we got for the lawn signs last year. Yeah.
But yeah, the Progress, I would encourage and would love to see the Progress Pride flag. I've been nudging my own folks to place an order for that because they keep talking about it, but they haven't made a move.
All right. Yeah. So I'll find out how much that is, because I realized I was putting the cart before the horse. We shouldn't be voting on something if we don't know how much it costs. So let me find out how much that costs, and then at next month's meeting we can take a vote as to if we want to go ahead with that purchase. And then Benny can let us know in terms of questions for town council Does that make sense?
Like, should I reach out to the town between now and next meeting also, or?
Yeah, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I just want to make sure like the order of operations. Yes.
Yep.
Amy's got a hand up.
Oh, sorry.
I do. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, sorry, Amy.
I have flags. No, that's okay. I have flags and some pins left over from last year, so I will get a count just so you guys know what we have from last year's flag. So.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. All right. Okay. Jen. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It sounds like actual committee is going to come together a little bit later, but I am thinking about like an interfaith service, and a lot of interfaith services are really just Christian and Jewish. My hope is that an interfaith service will not be that. So I'd also love if we can like reach our tentacles wider for folks from a wide variety of traditions actually represented in Wakefield for an interfaith pride service. I think that could be a really fun thing to do together.
Love it. All right.
And the weather will be nice enough in June that we can do this outside.
Okay. Jen, you said you had a matter not anticipated.
No, I know. Well, just talking about the flags that I have in my house, I was thinking, and this could probably be offline, but I have several boxes of supplies from the HRC, and the fact that I'm rolling off at the end of April, just need to figure out where does that stuff go. And I know that was one of our agenda items way in the past, was not only the electronic storage, but is there still physical storage that we can move that to? So again, it doesn't have to be resolved today. I just wanted to raise that back up as something probably to add to an action list. Anybody, if we don't have physical storage through the town by the end of April, is there anybody else who would have a garage or basement or storage space that I could pass the stuff off to?
Yes, I don't know why. I was reading through previous notes as I was putting together kind of like the 5-year timeline. And I don't know why Julie Smith Galvin, I feel like had done some looking into this. And I don't know if that's even remotely accurate. I don't know why her name pops out, but I feel like I read that in the notes. So I will.
Yeah, I know Rich was working. Rich might have been working with Julie and Steve on just like storage space at the town hall, and then the town hall shut down, and then it all kind of went out. So.
Okay. All right.
But Julie might have been Rich's contact. I don't know. I don't know what Julie's name is in there, but I know Rich Greif was the one who had been working on it with Steve Mayo.
Okay. Yeah, I'll reach out. I'll reach out to Rich and see if he can recall.
Since Kim isn't here, can I speak for a few moments on her behalf?
Yep.
Okay. She's taken the lead on that event marketing checklist, and she has 2 requests that should be recorded in the minutes so that people can then send her responses. She's looking for whatever resources WHRC members have identified, such as who can help to implement strategies and with whom we might partner for different purposes and in different situations. So please put on your thinking caps and email that information to Kim, or email it to me and I'll pass it along to Kim. So resources that you have found in planning meetings and promoting meetings. Again, anyone who might be able to help us or people we could partner with. The second thing is, what vehicles have you in particular used for conveying information? And what have you found effective? So if that could go into the minutes as well, 2 requests for information from Kim. That's the feedback she'd like.
I'm just going to clarify, when we say like what resources do you use, sometimes those are like people resources. So for example, when we did the live International Women's Day, we worked with Bob Sharola for the school, the space, worked with, and I'm forgetting her name, but the director of She Major, the choir director. So people like that, right? So who are the people if we want certain spaces or certain groups? And then certainly resources in terms of external resources too, like we use this company to do buttons or things like that. But I just want to explain some examples of what we meant by resources.
Are we sending this to Kim directly to her email or to?
You can send it directly to Kim's email and she'll incorporate it into the document she's putting together. And when we have our next communications meeting, we'll work on it all together, the three of us.
The first thing that popped into my head was school dude, which is the scheduling thing for anything within the school department is school dude, which I think
they changed that actually. Because I think
the funniest thing.
Yeah. You definitely had to have like a login to it, and that was a whole thing.
But like for instance, Teresa asked me who the chamber head was. And now I've learned that the North Shore Chamber, which we might use in some occasions, has a brand new head, which could explain why I never got an answer from them.
All right. Thank you, Sherry. Also wanted to let people know that the next poster in our year-long series will be coming out at the beginning of April. Thank you, Yana, and thank you, Sherry. So you'll start seeing that, around the beginning of April sometime.
There'll be a lot less cold walking around town and delivering it to people than the first time. I hope.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else for any matters not anticipated? Okay. Benny, do you want to go over the action list?
Yes, and let me know if I've missed anything because I feel like maybe I missed some things. The stuff I have on here is for the those two requests that Sherry just made. So for everyone to think about resources or connections that you've built while planning HRC events and send those contact people or those resources or whatever they are, vendors, whoever it is, send that to Kim. And also think about what have been effective vehicles for communication that you have used while planning HRC events and send that information to Kim. I've got for the active bystander training, Maria is going to reach out to the Boys and Girls Club and ask about co-sponsoring an event and also reach out to Quabbin mediation. What are they? Quabbin mediation?
Yeah, I think it's Quabbin mediation.
About their youth focus program. Elizabeth is going to reach out to the Clergy Council. Maria is going to reach out to the Wake Up Coalition. And Amy is going to talk to WAVE. All those are about co-sponsoring the active bystander. Let's see. Sounds like Maria is going to send along our recommendations to Town Council for new members. And also like clarify which body is appointing who. Faith is going to send the flyer about what's the flyer about? The panel with the other schools. Is that what it is? Yes. Sorry, my own notes are incomprehensible to me sometimes. Okay. I'm going to send a flyer to us when it's done about the panel that the BSU is participating in with other schools. Let's see, what else? I don't know if there was a specific person, somebody mentioned, Jen, I think you mentioned linking to the live stream of the panel discussion tomorrow night, the Native American panel discussion.
Yeah, I think I'll see if I can do that.
Okay. Let's see. And Maria is waiting to hear back from Melrose and Linfield about connecting our HRCs together. And then once she hears back, going to connect back with Jeremy to make a proposal that we can talk about next meeting. And I'm going to reach out to the town about the flag. Maria's going to look at purchasing, like what the cost of the progress, is that what's called, progress flag? And one more I realized I forgot, which was, I think Sherry said that she was going to send us all the calendar of events list. So those are all the ones that I captured. Are there other ones that I missed?
The Juneteenth flag info as well.
Yeah, so do we have an action step about that? The town said they were gonna buy it?
Steve Mayo said he was gonna buy it. So yeah, it was, I'll follow up with Faith. I'm gonna forward her the letter from Steve. And I'll also send you the website just so you can have it for your notes if people want to look at it, for the North Shore Juneteenth Association. And then, yeah, we'll follow up next month about that.
Is there an action? Well, I'm thinking, Benny, if you're talking to the town about the pride flag stuff, is it worth kind of doing those together and talking about like where would that other flag be and what would the conflict be, or like would we have to take down the pride flag to put that up for the week and then take it down, or is there another place? That sort of question.
Yeah, so Benny, why don't you and I talk offline and we'll figure out kind of coordinating so we're not having dual flag conversations.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay.
What else? Other things that I missed?
I don't even know if this has to be on there, but at the end of March, the next messaging poster will be distributed to businesses in town. I'm going to be doing that.
Oh, okay, great. And I had one question, which is, if Sherry and I are the two people working on the AAPI month readings, do we have to, is that a public meeting? How does that work if it's two people?
That is a good question.
I think we're allowed to just talk to one another.
The downside to that, although I'm a really big fan of not having to go through the hassle of scheduling public meetings, it does mean it's not public if there are folks in the public who would like to like participate or give feedback, you know. But just to clarify like what our responsibility is, if it's only two, we're not required to.
Which like could be really useful to have some external input. I don't know if either of you claims an API identity, but I think that if folks with those identities want to contribute, that would be a really great source of expert life experience.
Could we put out a call on like our Facebook page, like, hey, we're forming a subcommittee on, or to like discuss how to celebrate Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month and see who wants to come in.
I think that's.
I don't want to like overhype it. Like we're going to do this big celebration if it's in book readings, but you know, if somebody would like to draft something to that effect, we could post that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
And Asian American is a very, very broad category. I mean, it goes from South Asian all the way across Southeast Asian. It's just a tremendous amount of different cultures and countries.
Mm-hmm. So is there does somebody want to write something?
Yeah.
Like we're adding stuff, but
it's all about adding stuff.
And where would this be posted that we're asking for not input, but participation?
I would assume it's on our Facebook page, but
just put it on the Facebook page.
I think this is part of our other
planning
question
some commemoration of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who's going to be seeing it?
Right. We've talked about this is part of the problem if we post stuff on Facebook. It's not, you know, when do we use our email? This is something our subcommittee is trying to figure out. So maybe Sherry, you and Kim and I can talk more about that. But Maria, we're at the end, so we can talk offline. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
I feel, yeah. because none of us have access to the email and don't. But I think the part of the strategy of the subcommittee, the communication subcommittee, will also be to figure out like, when do we use the email or send out newsletters or announcements like that versus when do we use Facebook? So.
Yeah, and that's definitely a longer conversation to have, because I remember talking about this a few years ago, and we couldn't use, like if we had an email, we may have an email list somewhere, nothing that I've ever seen, but in terms of using the town WHRC email to send an email blast to our subscribers, for lack of a better word, we couldn't do that. And I can't remember why. It was not something that it's not a conversation that I was involved in, but yeah, I mean, it's such a great way to help people. So is there a possibility of doing that in the future? That's something we can continue to work on. So, but yeah, we can talk more offline.
Okay, so I think that those are it for the action steps.
All right. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn? I know this is a long one.
So moved.
Sherry and Jen, you second?
Second.
All right, Amy.
Yes.
Okay, and myself, I vote yes. Sherry?
Yes.
Yana? Oh, sorry, you're a liaison, sorry. Nicole?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Benny?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Teresa? All right, I think that was a yes. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.